You know, if you're over 50, 60, you've got a lot of stuff. And one of the things I've never talked about is all my stuff. A friend of mine visited a few years ago and said I was a hoarder, inferred I was a hoarder. And I thought, oh, come on. Well, I'm in the room right now. That would probably indicate I'm a hoarder. But I'm not. Well, maybe I am, but I want to talk about that today, this idea of decluttering and how important it is to me that this process of dealing with this stuff, it's not all my stuff, it's family stuff, my kids' stuff, my parents' stuff, and stuff that I can't seem to get rid of or how to get rid of it. I want to talk about that today. In thinking about this, I don't think there's anything I feel I need to do by my last day on this earth more important than to get rid or to declutter my life. And it's kind of funny because I've been thinking about this a long time, and again, I just couldn't do it. We're going to address that in this episode as well as some other episodes. But I know that these things that I'm talking about and we'll be talking about are just things. And the value, though, for people like me, and I know there's a lot of you out there in the same boat, it's not about the thing. The value that I'm struggling with is not in the things, it's in the memories and the feelings these things. So this one is going to be a tough edit because I'm having a hard time talking about what I really feel. And I wrote some things down to help me. But this importance of decluttering before my last day, this has to be done. I do not want to leave this for my kids to go through or whoever it may be. But it's hard because as I was saying, these are not things that are valuable in and of themselves as far as the physical things. It's the emotional ties to the things that are so difficult to come to terms with. And I just saw a video I'm going to share with y'all in a moment that really hit home for me as to the reason we hang on to stuff, some of us, is because of the memories these things hold in our hearts. So what the world calls clutter, what the outsider calls clutter, with all this stuff we have in our lives, whether it be in these bedrooms that are filled with things or storage units, it's not. If it was just clutter, it would be very simple to deal with. I'd have no trouble at all with it in removing it from my life. But it's the emotions that I have with the things, the emotions that are tied to them. And I know there's like two kinds of people out there. And I have a son and daughter that represent each of these. My son could get rid of this stuff in a weekend. And that's only because there's a lot of stuff. It could be just a few hours. I have trophies of his when he was a kid in here. And I said, what do you want me to do with them? He said, just throw them out. Whereas I have a daughter who's more like me. You can't get rid of it. You hold on. And I have things in here right here, that she drew in first grade or something like that. I mean, there's emotional connections to so much in here. This thing right back here, don't fool with the cool, is a poster a student got me. I think it was in my second year teaching. It was my only classroom rule, which was don't fool with the cool. And they found this Snoopy, the saying that was on this poster. It was perfect. That poster is over 20 some years old. I'm hanging on to it though, not because, well, there's so many memories attached to this. There's That was in my classroom for 15 years or 11 years at one school. It's been in a couple other classrooms. And of course, there's lots of stories behind this poster. But the poster, is the poster worth anything to me? No, it's the memories it provokes. So this is the room. This is the room that I made a video about when I was taking Casey Neistat's video course. And you can go back and watch that. And what's kind of sad is the room, this was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's in my collection of when I was first starting playing around with YouTube and starting a channel. I posted this 1 minute or so video about the room. It looks almost the same because I've made no progress on this process of decluttering. I'm going to put a link up to that. I'd like you to watch that because as strong as the feelings I had back then about the clutter and the things in this room, I still have them today. So I'm making this video today because of the two things that happened just in the last week or so. Is number one, I've watched these two videos, one with a declutter expert, Rita Wilkins, and I'm going to recommend her channel to y'all if you have this problem that we have about trying to declutter, because there's some real things you have to overcome when you feel the way we do, when we attach our emotions and our memories to these things that we hold on to. And number two, there was a video from these vloggers, pretty famous vloggers in California that lost their home to the Palisade fires. Very emotional, very tough, and they talked about how emotional it was to lose these homes they had just built or bought, and they weren't in them but a month or so and totally destroyed. And they found or mentioned a quote by John Mayer, who is the famous musician, songwriter. I want to read a quote that he wrote in January of this year regarding these losses in these fires. It communicates and it expresses exactly how I feel. Let me read that. Just behind the immeasurable loss of life in these fires is the loss of the proof of life. It's not about the art and the collectibles. It's the photos, the letters, the class rings, the eyeglasses, and the things we keep to remind us that those we loved were here. And that's what's in this room. See, my dad is gone now. My kids, in their own way, they're gone because they've moved away. And these things that I'm looking at here are a reminder of the proof of life that I had with my parents, and then my kids when they were little. And that life has passed. And of course, the life of my parents literally now has passed. And so it's those emotional ties and the memories with that I'm trying to hold on to. So how do you deal with that? It's challenging for sure. So what and how do I deal with this? And for me, it's not so much what, it's how. I guess that's really because I don't know how to do it. I can't. I've been trying for a few years now to go through this stuff unsuccessfully because there's only 3 things or 4 things left to do with it. You either keep it or you donate it or you throw it out. And that's pretty much where these things end up in our lives, inevitably. Now, this Rita Wilkins, she makes some really powerful recommendations that I think are going to work for me. And she's kind of an expert on it. She has gone through this process herself. She knows the pain involved. She knows how hard it is, the struggle. But she also points out just how important it is to do it because it's a freedom issue. You regain your emotional freedom and you regain a lot of physical freedom by going through and decluttering. She says that these things, we get good feelings with these things because it's like when we see them, we remember, they prompt the memories the good memories of the past. And it's that let go process that gives us the freedom. Now, what I really like about what she recommends is through the process of decluttering, she recommends you start small. One thing could just be a drawer. And that resonated with me because as I look through here, I think I'm going to start box by box. And then, of course, she has suggestions for what to do with each item, and I'm learning more about that. So I'll be sharing that with you. I have a box maybe to go through. As a matter of fact, the room video I did for that course, people responded to it and said, "Ooh, I want to watch you go through this. I want to follow your journey on what you find in these boxes." And I thought, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it too, because these boxes, there's things in here I haven't seen in years, which again lends it to the belief that people would say, if you haven't seen it for a year, just throw it out. Well, if you're like me, you can't do that. In combination with starting small, as you work through, say, that one box or that one drawer, one item at a time, and you limit it. You don't work on it all day. You take a half hour and you set a timer to it, or an hour. And that's exactly what I think can work for me. But you make one decision at a time. So it really breaks it down into small groups. And you deal with these things that you're holding on to, or that I'm holding on to. She says, I like this quote that she used, minimalism is about living a more balanced life. It is painful, but reality is memories are not in the things that we're dealing with here. The memories are found in your heart. Now, my challenge is it's through the things that I remember the memories. A lot of times I don't recall it. It's by seeing these things that I'm reminded of the good and the past. I have to tell you about a thread I made to my kids who said, "Dad, just get rid of it. I mean, do it. You'll feel so much better." And I said, "Okay." I said, "But here's what's going to happen. I'm going to make sure you guys have to look at these things, because these things are important. There's family history here. And I don't want you just coming in and throwing a box out, or a book." So what I said was, I'm going to take $1,000. I have to save up for that. And I'm going to put $100 bills, 10 $100 bills hidden in all this stuff. So you have to go through every box, every book. And they laughed. And no, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I think I guess that's my warped sense of humor. And my son sort of, he might be tempted to actually not just do a wide swath of throwing stuff out if he knew, hey, Dad left some money for us in this mess somewhere. Be like a puzzle. The ultimate scavenger hunt. What's the plan? So I plan to have future episodes basically called The Room, and you'll come with me. I'm thinking this is going to take some time, because I'm still, to be honest, not ready to do it, but I know I must do it. So I'm going to begin one small step at a time, one box at a time, one little area at a time. And 3 or 4, the results are going to be, well, we'll find out what the results are going to be. So I'll put all these episodes together, and they will obviously be on my journey to declutter, simplify life, and gain what I hope is not only the physical freedom to not worry about having to put this stuff in storage, downsize, or travel. I just don't have to worry about those kinds of things when you're keeping all this stuff. And then most importantly is the freedom I know you'll feel emotionally when you've dealt with these things that are weighing you down. Well, that's it. I'm obviously, I've purposely not shown you this room in its full glory, although you can see it in that video I did a few years ago, because to be honest, it's embarrassing. This is not, I look around here and I go, this isn't me. And yet it is me. I have just thrown things in here because of the feeling of overwhelm, of uncertainty of what to do, of the guilt that when you throw this object away that your memories and your emotions are attached to, you're doing something wrong. That this was never made to end up like this. And again, it's just, I'm struggling with this. It's very difficult. But we move forward. I look forward to doing this, sharing this journey of decluttering with you, the audience, you, the boomers, who I know there's two different people out there. There's people that are going to think you're crazy. You would draw, you don't relate at all. And then there's people that do relate. I don't know if there's any middle ground in this. I can tell you I do suffer on the far side of, what would you call this? Excessive. All right. Check out the video of the room that I did a few years ago. And the next video is going to be about a box I have just found. It was right here. And I'm going to share with you what was in that box. And it's a good one because it will clearly illustrate why, for me, I've had such a hard time with this. So here's to freedom, physically, emotionally, of the stuff we have in our lives when we're older.